What exactly is it you intend to do, Captain Zaire? The antenna of an alien twitched, conveying his incredulity. Nuke it from orbit, replied Lieutenant Sarah Chen with a nonchalant shrug. It's the only foolproof solution. The Galactic Federation briefing room became silent, 6 pairs of alien eyes, along with one set of photoreceptors, fixated on the solitary human among them. But that's excessive, sputtered Commander Blorp, his gelatinous body trembling with indignation. We're only discussing a single Reian battlecruiser. Surely your rudimentary projectile weapons would suffice? Sarah rolled her eyes. Rudimentary? Please. We phased out those rust buckets centuries ago. Try to keep up, jelly shot. Had Blorp possessed bones, he would undoubtedly be clutching his pearls at that moment. Instead, he merely jiggled disapprovingly. Look, Sarah continued, I understand you're all about precision strikes and minimizing collateral damage, but sometimes you need to go big or go home. And I, for one, am not eager to explain to Earth Command why we let a Reian warship slip through our fingers. Captain Zaire's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. But Lieutenant Chen, the level of firepower you're proposing, it's overkill. Sarah finished with a grin. Welcome to humanity, Cap. Overkill is our middle name, right after Hold My Beer and just before Watch This. The alien crew exchanged apprehensive glances. They had heard tales about humans, of course, the species that had clawed its way to the stars through sheer tenacity and a frankly alarming disregard for self-preservation. But this was next level. Very well, Zaire finally conceded. We shall nuke it from orbit. However, I must protest the needless destruction of a perfectly good moon in the process. Sarah waved a hand dismissively. Moons? Pshaw. They're like space pebbles. The galaxy is full of them. Besides, think of the fireworks. It'll be gorgeous. As Sarah sauntered out of the briefing room, already requesting the biggest, baddest warhead they had available, the alien crew sat in stunned silence. Finally, the ship's AI spoke up, its tone as dry as the Martian desert. Well, ladies, gentlemen, and assorted gelatinous lifeforms, I believe we've just witnessed what humans call Tuesday. May whatever deities you believe in have mercy on our circuits. As the Galactic Federation cruiser prepared to unleash hell upon an unsuspecting Reian ship and one very unfortunate moon, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. After all, humanity had arrived, and subtlety? Well, that was so last millennium. As the Galactic Federation cruiser hurtled through space, its crew worked feverishly to prepare for what could only be described as Operation Humanity's Greatest Hits. Captain Ziller found Lieutenant Chen in the weapons bay, cooing softly to a warhead that was roughly the size of a small asteroid. Lieutenant Ziller chittered nervously, "Are you talking to the bomb?" Sarah patted the gleaming metal casing affectionately. "Just giving her a pep talk, Cap. This baby's about to have her big debut, and I want her to feel special." Ziller's compound eyes blinked rapidly in succession. You name your weapons of mass destruction?" "Of course, we do," Sarah replied with a grin. "This lovely lady is Lucille. Say hello, Lucille." The warhead, unsurprisingly, remains silent. "She's shy," Sarah stage whispered. Ziller made a mental note to request a transfer to a nice, quiet sector of space, preferably one devoid of humans and their unsettling habits. As they approached the Reian battlecruiser's last known coordinates, the ship's AI chimed in, "Targets acquired. One Reian vessel and one soon-to-be X-moon, as requested." Shall I compose a eulogy for the celestial body we're about to obliterate, or would that be too sentimental? Nah, Sarah replied, cracking her knuckles. Just put on some music. Something with a good beat. Ooh, how about Don't Stop Me Now by Queen? As Freddie Mercury's voice filled the ship, Sarah turned to the bewildered alien crew. All right, folks, who wants to do the honors? Silence. No takers? Fine. More fun for me. She approached the launch controls, wiggling her fingers dramatically. Eeny, meeny, miny, boom. With a theatrical flourish, Sarah slammed her hand down on the launch button. Lucille streaked away from the ship, a blazing comet of destruction hurtling towards its unsuspecting targets. The crew watched in awe and horror as the warhead detonated, turning the moon and the unfortunately positioned Reian ship into a spectacular light show that would have made the 4th of July weep with envy. As debris rained across the star system, Sarah leaned back, a satisfied smile on her face. Now that's what I call a grand finale. Commander Blorp, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally found his voice. Was that really necessary? Sarah shrugged. Probably not, but it sure was fun. As the human high-fived a reluctant crew member, leaving a handprint in their gelatinous body, Captain Ziller turned to his second-in-command. Send a message to Galactic Command, he whispered. Tell them the humans have arrived, and may the cosmos have mercy on us all. Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the Reians received the message loud and clear: don't mess with the crazy primates from Earth. They don't just think outside the box, they nuke the box from orbit, along with any unfortunate moons that happen to be in the blast radius. And as for humanity? Well, they were just getting started. After all, there were still so many moons left to explode, so many aliens to terrify, and so many opportunities to prove that, in the face of cosmic horrors, sometimes the best defense is a bats-hit crazy offense. The galaxy would never be the same again, and honestly, that was probably for the best. Things were getting a bit dull anyway. The dust had barely settled from their spectacular moon-busting escapade when alarms blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed, bathing the crew in an ominous glow. What now? Groaned Captain Zaire, his antenna drooping with fatigue. Please tell me we didn't accidentally declare war on another species. The ship's AI chimed in, its voice dripping with artificial sarcasm. Oh, no, nothing that mundane. It appears we've stumbled into a spatial anomaly. Congratulations, crew, we've discovered a wormhole. Sarah's eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. A wormhole? Hot damn. That's like the cosmos's version of a slip-and-slide. Commander Blorp gurgled nervously. Lieutenant Chen, please tell me you're not suggesting what I think you're suggesting. Oh, I'm suggesting it all right, Sarah grinned, already punching coordinates into the navigation system. We're going in. Captain Ziller's mandibles clicked in alarm. Absolutely not. We have no idea where it leads. It could deposit us in the heart of a sun, or worse, in the middle of a Galactic Federation budget meeting. Where's your sense of adventure, Cap? Sarah challenged, her fingers hovering over the wormhole entry sequence. Besides, think of the scientific discoveries. The glory. The bragging rights at the next intergalactic tavern trivia night. Before anyone could stop her, Sarah initiated the sequence. The ship lurched forward, plunging into the swirling vortex of spacetime. What followed was a psychedelic light show that would have made the 1960s jealous. The crew experienced colors that shouldn't exist, tasted sounds, and briefly understood the meaning of life, though they forgot it immediately after. When they emerged on the other side, gasping and disoriented, they found themselves face to face with another Galactic Federation ship. Oh, no, Sarah mumbled, her enthusiasm dampened for the first time. Please don't tell me we just time traveled. The communications panel crackled to life, and a familiar voice filled the bridge. Unidentified vessel, this is Captain Ziller of the Galactic Federation. State your, wait a minute. Is that me? The crew turned to their Zaire, then back to the screen, showing an identical, albeit slightly younger, version of their captain. Sarah cleared her throat. Well, folks, it looks like we've stumbled into a time travel paradox. Don't suppose anyone brought a universal remote with a rewind button? As both versions of Captain Ziller stared at each other in shocked silence, Commander Blorp finally lost it. That's it. I quit. I'm going back to my home planet to become a gelatinous accountant, like my mother always wanted. Sarah patted the quivering alien sympathetically. There, Blorp. Look on the bright side, at least we didn't end up inside a sun. The ship's AI interjected, its tone suspiciously cheerful. Actually, if my calculations are correct, we have approximately 37 minutes before this region of space is engulfed by a supernova. Isn't temporal mechanics fun? As chaos erupted on both ships, with past Zaire demanding explanations and present Zaire considering a career change to something less stressful like professional lava surfing, Sarah calmly made her way back to the weapons bay. Where are you going? Ziller called after her. Sarah's voice drifted back, filled with unholy glee, to wake up Lucille's sister, Lola. If we're going to go out, we might as well go out with a bang. Who's up for turning a supernova into a super-duper nova? As both crews scrambled to deal with the impending cosmic disaster and the headache-inducing implications of their temporal mishap, one thing became crystal clear: the universe simply wasn't ready for humanity's special brand of problem-solving. But ready or not, here they came, armed with nukes, horrible puns, and a blatant disregard for the laws of physics. The cosmos would never be the same again, and somewhere in the vast expanse of spacetime, the anthropomorphic personification of common sense threw up its hands and went on an extended vacation. It had a feeling its services wouldn't be needed for quite some time. As Sarah returned to the bridge, lovingly cradling a warhead that could charitably be described as excessive, both versions of Captain Ziller were engaged in an existential argument. If you're really me from the future, Past Sire chittered, then why don't I remember any of this happening? Present Ziller's antenna twitched in irritation. Because it hasn't happened to you yet, you overgrown grasshopper. Who are you calling a grasshopper? You older grasshopper. Sarah cleared her throat. Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted arthropods, as riveting as this Jerry Springer episode is, we've got about 20 minutes before we're all stardust. Any ideas? The ship's AI chimed in. I've been running simulations, and I have good news and bad news. The good news is we can potentially use the wormhole to escape. The bad news is the gravitational forces of the supernova will likely cause it to collapse in approximately 18 minutes. Commander Blorp, who had been stress-eating emergency rations, burbled unhappily. So we're doomed either way? Fantastic. I knew I should have taken that job at the gelatinous cube factory. Not necessarily, Sarah mused, a dangerous glint in her eye. What if we use Lola here to nudge the supernova along? A collective gasp echoed through both ships. You want to detonate a thermonuclear warhead inside a star that's about to go supernova? Past Sire's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Yep, Sarah beamed. It's like popping a pimple, but on a cosmic scale. Present Ziller buried his face in his appendages. I'm beginning to understand why the Reians were so eager to attack us. Here's the plan, Sarah continued, ignoring the aliens' growing despair. We'll launch Lola into the star, triggering an early detonation. The resulting shockwave should propel both our ships through the wormhole before it collapses. It's simple physics. That's not how physics works, both sires shouted in unison. Maybe not your physics, Sarah winked, but human physics operates on a strict hold-my-beer principle. As the crew scrambled to prepare for Sarah's insane plan, the ship's AI decided it was time for some mood music. The opening riffs of The Final Countdown blared through the speakers. Really? Sarah raised an eyebrow. If we're going to attempt the impossible, we might as well have an appropriately dramatic soundtrack, the AI replied smugly. With seconds to spare, Sarah launched Lola into the heart of the soon-to-be supernova. The star swelled, glowing with unnatural brightness, before exploding in a dazzling display of cosmic fireworks. The shockwave hit both ships like a celestial fist, sending them tumbling through the wormhole in a blur of impossible colors and mind-bending physics. When they finally emerged, everyone was alive, if slightly scrambled. Past Sire's ship found itself back where it started, with the captain vowing to avoid any and all contact with humans for the next decade. As for Sarah and her crew, they materialized in orbit around Earth, just in time to witness a rather peculiar sight. Lieutenant Chen, Present Ziller said weakly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall Earth having 2 moons. Sarah stared at the unexpected celestial body, then burst out laughing. Oh man, past us is going to be so confused when they discover that. As the implications of their time-traveling, moon-creating adventure sank in, the crew realized they had some explaining to do to Galactic Command. A lot of explaining. So, Sarah clapped her hands together. Who wants to help me write the mission report? I'm thinking of calling it That Time We Accidentally Created the Moon, You're Welcome, Earth. Commander Blorp, finally regaining his composure, gurgled resignedly, you know what? Why not? It can't possibly be stranger than what actually happened. That's the spirit, Blorp. Sarah beamed, slapping him on what she hoped was his back. "We'll make a human out of you yet." "Please don't," Blorp whimpered. As they prepared to descend towards Earth, leaving a very confused astronomical community in its wake, the ship's comm system suddenly crackled to life. "Unidentified vessel," a stern voice boomed, "this is Earth Defense Command. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately or face the consequences." Sarah's grin, if possible, grew even wider. "Oh, this is going to be fun. Hey Cap, think they'll believe us if we tell them we're time-traveling moon delivery services?" Before Captain Ziller could formulate a response that didn't involve screaming internally, Sarah had already opened a channel. "Earth Defense Command, this is Lieutenant Sarah Chen of the Galactic Federation. We come in peace, bearing gifts of lunar proportions. Also, you might want to update your star charts, you've got a new moon, courtesy of yours truly." "You're welcome." As stunned silence filled the comms, broken only by what sounded suspiciously like someone choking on their coffee, the crew braced themselves for what promised to be the most interesting debriefing in the history of space exploration. Somewhere in the depths of space, the laws of physics huddled together, whimpering softly. They had a feeling their orderly existence was about to get a lot more interesting. After all, if one human could accidentally create a moon, imagine what humanity as a whole could do once they really put their minds to it. The universe, it seemed, was not ready for humanity's unique brand of chaos. But ready or not, here they came, armed with nukes, horrible puns, and a blatant disregard for cosmic impossibilities. As for Sarah and her alien crew, they were just getting started. After all, there were still so many paradoxes to create, so many laws of nature to break, and so many opportunities to prove that, in the face of an indifferent universe, sometimes the best approach was to be so spectacularly, ridiculously human that the cosmos itself threw up its metaphorical hands and said, "Fine, you win this round." And win they would, one impossible feat at a time. As the shockwave propelled both ships through the wormhole, reality itself seemed to hiccup. The crew experienced what could only be described as an existence smoothie, a jumbled mess of sensations, memories, and quantum improbabilities. Sarah could have sworn she briefly lived an entire lifetime as a sentient toaster on a planet made of bread. Commander Blorp, on the other hand, found himself yearning for a pair of legs he'd never had. Captain Ziller simply tasted the color purple and decided he'd had quite enough of spacetime shenanigans, thank you very much. When they finally popped back into normal space, or what passed for normal these days, everyone took a moment to ensure they were, in fact, themselves and had the correct number of limbs, and weren't suddenly photosynthetic. "Status report," barked President Ziller, trying to regain some semblance of control. The ship's AI, sounding slightly dazed, responded, "All systems operational, Captain, though I think I've developed a strange craving for electron soup." "Is that normal for an AI?" "About as normal as anything else today," Sarah quipped, stretching as if she'd just woken up from a particularly wild nap. "So, where and when are we?" As if in answer, the view screen flickered to life, revealing a familiar blue marble hanging in space. "Earth, home sweet home." But something was off. Lieutenant Chen," President Ziller said weakly, "correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall Earth having two moons." Sure enough, alongside the familiar lunar companion, a second, smaller moon orbited their home planet. It gleamed with an oddly familiar metallic sheen. Sarah stared at the unexpected celestial body, then burst out laughing. "Oh man, past us is going to be so confused when they discover that." "Past us?" Commander Blorp gurgled, his gelatinous form still wobbling from their interdimensional jaunt. "What do you mean?" Oh no. Realization dawned on the crew like a slow-motion train wreck. They hadn't just survived a supernova and a trip through a wormhole, they'd somehow managed to create Earth's second moon in the process. "Well," Sarah grinned, "I always wanted to leave my mark on history, though I was thinking more along the lines of a statue or maybe a really cool catchphrase." "This works too, I guess." Captain Ziller's antenna twitched spasmodically. This is. I don't even have words for what this is." "I believe the human term is foobar, Captain," the AI helpfully supplied. "Not helping," Ziller chittered. As the